La nostra industria sta cambiando. Diversità, equità, inclusione. Facciamo un punto. Sono Roberta Mariani e questo è Balanced. Welcome to another episode of Balance. Let me introduce our guests for today, Julie Reiner and Daniele Dalla Pola. Ciao Julie, ciao Daniele.
Ciao.
Thank you for being with us today. Daniele Dalla Pola, renewable mixologist, tiki cocktail expert, true visionary in the world of beverage, and of course the founder of Exotico in Miami. And then Julie, another well-known figure in the cocktail industry, bartender, writer, bar owner, founder of Clover Club, Leyenda, and recently opened Milady. So I'm really, really glad to have you with us, guys. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
So, let's start. You are the peak of your career. You are amazing figures in our hospitality. But please, can you tell me the story behind the journey into the hospitality industry? Julie, would you like to start?
I grew up in Honolulu, and so I was always around the tourist industry there, and my first jobs were serving frozen yogurt in Waikiki, and then cocktail waitressing at age 18, and I really just loved hospitality and service, which started at a very young age. And from there, I continued. When I went to college, I worked in restaurants, and I graduated from college, and I thought my parents wanted me to get a real job that was not being a bartender or working in hospitality. But I just loved it too much, and so I continued on my path.
Great, glad you did it. And Daniele, what's your story?
I start early as like Julie, and as you know, Italians are. My grandfather, he opened a bar restaurant after the Second World War. Imagine that. So all my family, my mother, my uncle, they all working in the restaurant. My mom was was a server. My grandfather was the cook. My grandma was at the bar, and my uncle was at the bar. So I grew up in the middle, running around tables, and they put me to work in an early age, to put away. I don't know if you have a chance to remember those Campari soda bottles. They were like the triangle cone. So I need to put in the blue boxes of 4 + 1 upside down. So this was my job, putting this away. And then, I grew up pretty much there. And then my mother moved out from the family, and of course I went to school with my stuff. And then early age, like 17, I was already in Milano, working, opening up a bar at 7 a.m, doing breakfast. That's how we used to start back in the days. Now you go straight making cocktail. So, and then that's my journey right there. I remember, actually I grew up with a coffee machine. I see that I was more comfortable after a year because it was still growing. And that's how I make coffee and cappuccino and breakfast, waiting for the aperitivo time to get the butcher coming over to get a white wine spritzer. And back then was not like a spritzer, with just a white wine with a dash of Campari or Aperol or Amaro. And waiting for the morning, first cocktail was probably Caffè Corretto, those Bergamasco, those people, the carpenter, come in the morning having coffee with grappa or with cognac. That's how they started the day. It was fun. It was a great journey, and basically that's how we start. And of course, fall in love with the cocktails. And in Italy it was not that easy, but we are now.
Definitely, you reached the peak, and it's been an incredible journey for both of you. Today, you You achieved so many achievements. That's why for me it was really important to have you two in this episode to talk about a little bit of like your life experience, because I think it could be really helpful for a lot of bartenders over there. And from here, I dive into today's topic. Parenting from a bartender's perspective involves managing irregular work schedules, balancing time between work and family, prioritizing self-care. So, what challenges do you face as a parent working in the hospitality industry, and how do you overcome them? Julie, would you like to start?
Sure. Well, I had my daughter a little bit later in life, so I wasn't actually behind the bar at that point. I was opening my third bar, Clover Club, when we were pregnant with her, and so I was managing the floor and sort of running the bar more so than working behind it. And my wife also works in the bars, but thankfully we have very different roles. She does a lot of the daytime things, and I was dealing with more of the evenings. So in the early time with her, we didn't see each other very much because we were kind of like ships in the night, just kind of passing the baby off. And I have photos of myself, with Maya in a holster doing a wine tasting, sitting inside Clover Club. yeah, there's some funny pictures. But yeah, childcare in New York City is very expensive, and so at that time, there was no paid maternity leave. In fact, our partner was mad when he found out that we were pregnant and going to have a child, because it meant that, clearly we weren't going to be as able to work as much as he would have liked. My wife was expediting brunch here at Clover Club on New Year's Day, and then the next day went to the hospital and gave birth to our daughter, and then had 2 weeks of maternity leave before she was back at work. 2 weeks. So, there wasn't a lot of support at that time. And also most of our friends and colleagues in the industry didn't have kids. I think the industry was very young at that point. We took her with us to Tales of the Cocktail because we were both doing a seminar. So it was definitely a struggle. And we didn't have any family assistance either because we live in New York City. A lot of people ask, why we only had one child, and there was really no way we could have done it, financially, and also just with the kind of work that we do. So it is challenging. I'm excited that we're having these conversations now. There are people who are trying to create resources for bartenders who have children. And, I have one of my bartenders here, Pedro, who's worked with me for 15 years, has 4 children, and he is a full-time bartender. And he makes it work. He sleeps a couple hours, gets up, gives the kids breakfast, takes them to school, and then comes back and then sleeps for a few more hours before he goes to work. But it is tough.
What a commitment. Daniele, what was your experience? What the challenges that you faced?
Well, I got 2 different moments, because I have actually my older son is 24 and work with me. You met him, and so it's more challenging having your own son working with you because I'm his boss, but I'm his father. And I just wrote a big message last night because I should let him go, a bit, and then need him to make some mistake. Otherwise, I can be always on top of him because I want him the best. I want him to be better than me, So working with a child is very weird. Yes, it's my son. But going back in the time, when he was just born, I was living in Bala Harbor here in Miami. And I was working in South Beach. And as you know, I never drove a car in my life. So, and then I was going
the only Italian there, I know.
I do have a driving license. So I drove a Vespa to go, and then imagine Vespa in the summer. I have to change at work because I have to always wet. So and then it was hard because I was working all like late because I was doing a more restaurant bar. So by midnight I was done, and then home by 12:30 probably. And it was not easy. Also, being honestly, the challenge was more with the mother, so it was not the best. So it was not easy. It was not easy to have to go into. And then I, and then you grow up. And then you grow up. Things when you grow up, it's easy. When you can talk to them, they understand. They are like fine. And then I had Olivia. Olivia now is 7, and actually I'm very lucky because my wife Anastasia, she's doing the hard job. But she work as well, she work, now she got her own agency, but like now there is like summer break, and in the morning actually Olivia is all mine. And then she doesn't care if I go to sleep at 3 in the morning, so she come at 7:30 say, Papa, what am I gonna do? I'm bored. I say, please let me sleep. No. So I need to get her busy. I don't wanna. It's not right to have like playing with the iPad all morning. So I try to get her busy in something, and actually my wife is doing most of the job at the moment. And but it's not easy because also you wanna give them something, It's not just being with them in the room. You wanna give them something. And then I love to cook for them. So I spend like a couple hours just a day to cook for the family. So this is my moment that I give my love mostly. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah. It's interesting how it changes the challenges. My daughter is now 14 years old, and the younger years are certainly the hardest because they require you can't leave them alone, and somebody has to be watching them. And I've certainly found now that she's today she's graduating from 8th grade and she's going to high school next year, which is fantastic. And she's a New York City kid and riding the subway, and but so it's easier as far as our schedules go now, but we're still, she still needs us as much as she doesn't want to admit it.
Of course.
But yeah, it does change as they get older.
But Julie, honestly, they always need us, even when they're 24. Actually.
It's true.
Actually, they need them more with more challenging stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but it's the most amazing thing. Yeah, but it's amazing, because it's nice to go home and then know you can. When I go home, I check the room. I go there, she's sleeping. If she's not there, I know she's in my bed. And then with the dog. So I also need to take both and move it. And it's amazing to go home and then, yeah. I remember when William, most William, because it was my first child. When I was going home from work, I was going and smelling. I was smelling like when it was like, and then I was crazy. I remember also I used to count the finger. Say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, yes, I was.
That's fine.
It was amazing. With Olivia, I was traveling a lot. So Nastia I was traveling really. I was on the road constantly when she was like 1 year old. At a certain point, actually, it was very hard because we lived in Moscow, Miami, and Bologna. She was born in Bologna. So, and then I was traveling, and Olivia was traveling with us all around the world. And then Anastasia went back to Moscow, worked for Martini, back in the office. And I didn't see Olivia for a while. It was very hard.
Can only imagine. So I'm gonna go back to the travel question. Actually, I'm gonna go directly to that because you've both been traveling a lot. So, when you're working so extensively, how do you manage the challenging of frequent travel and probably not seeing your kids for a while? How do you overcome the feeling of guilt, I guess?
For me, when Maya was little, I really limited my travel. I said no to a lot of things that I would have loved to have done because I didn't want to miss it, and I had a lot of opportunities that I just didn't take people up on. And now that as she's getting older and also the industry's changed, now that I've opened a new bar, people want me. Now it's like the world of bar shows and pop-ups and come and do something in our town, and there's so many great opportunities out there, but I really do think about them all and kind of pick and choose so that I'm not constantly on the road. I have friends who spend months away from home, so I really try to limit it to like one trip a month or something like that, or I'll try to be able to bring my family with me if I can, like I'm doing this summer, and that is sort of how I handle it, because the other thing too is that yes, you miss your child and your family while you're traveling, but it's also harder on your spouse and the people who are left at home to handle the household and to handle the businesses. If I'm taking up to doing all of the trips that come my way, it's just harder for everybody. And also then I'm not present in my bars. And that is, part of the reason that they are successful is because we have owner presence all the time. I'm here, I'm at Clover Club right now, and I try to be at all of 3 bars all week long just so that people see me, and so that I can answer questions and let people know how I would do things. Because at this point, I'm certainly the matriarch of of the business, of our businesses, and most of our managers are 15-20 years younger than I am at this point, so there's a lot that I can teach them just by being around. So that's how I handle it.
So true. Daniele, what about you? You still traveling as much as before?
No, like Julie, I moved to Miami. Actually, I love this town. I grew up like here as especially professional, and I love to stay in Miami. I do travel when I have to, but not really. I do some, all my tiki stuff. Yes, all the tiki events. I go everywhere. But I came to BCB. I'm going to Tels. Yeah, but not like before. Like same thing, Julie, when Olivia was like a couple of years old, and Nastia was not working at that moment. I was traveling only in the place I couldn't bring them. So, I say, okay, I come if I can bring my wife and my kids. And, especially we went to a beautiful resort in Los Cabos. I went to do something in Colombia for a month. Was opening the Alquimico, the 3rd floor. So I put in my contract to say I come if I can bring my family, and then say, okay, no problem. Some people say, hey, they have to pay me. So you know what? Don't pay me. Just give me all flight, all accommodation, all the meal, and I'm not coming for money. I come because I like it. It was a great vacation for family, also for me. And I enjoy a lot. And then, at a certain point, my wife went to work. and then I opened Esotico. And then also my other thing, I have my brand to take care of stuff. So it was kind of, all right, you know what? Let's stay quiet. I didn't travel. And then more COVID, so of course we didn't travel.
Yeah.
And as you know, probably usually suffer a lot more than us in New York than Miami. So after COVID, I was doing everything. I had Alice at the bar, me doing host, server, and dishwasher for more than 6 months. And then people start coming back to work. And then we did one of the most amazing year. It was 2021. It was crazy. It looks like there was the only bar open and restaurant in town.
Wow.
So then I couldn't really move. And then I went to Hawaii for vacation, and that's it. That's what I did. Amazing.
Nice. Yeah, I actually had one of my career highlights was consulting on a hotel in Maui called the Andaz Wailea, and they asked me to do this when my daughter was 3 years old, and I did the same thing. I actually lived in Maui for 3 months, and my wife came and we put her in daycare, in Maui, and I worked on opening this hotel, and it was such an incredible experience to be a part of launching a brand new luxury resort and doing all of their bars for them and training the bartenders, many of whom are still there. It's
Amazing.
funny because I went back in February with my 14-year-old, and they're just like, oh my gosh, remember when you were 3 years old? And she was the only one that was allowed to swim in the pools at the time, which is, because she was 3, but she needed an escort. So of course, my wife and daughter are like swimming in the pools while I'm teaching people how to make drinks. But
Amazing.
it was an amazing experience. So, it's like you figure it out, and those are the gigs that you take when they're that age, are the ones that make sense for your situation.
I understand. And Julie, you mentioned before about the changes in the industry. I think in the recent years, there have been an increased recognition of the importance of the gender diversity and equality, equal opportunities in the bar industry. And many establishments, I think they are striving to provide more flexible working arrangement, working hours, but we are far away from the perfect solution. So I think to address these challenges, it's crucial for the employers in the industry to create a supportive and inclusive culture. What support system or resources have you found in your journey? And if you didn't find any kind of sourcing, how do you apply these needs to your establishments?
Yeah, there were none when we became parents. There were none. So, we had to just figure it out. And, and again, it wasn't really even a topic of conversation so much because there were so few people who had children in our industry. I would go to nobody had children. It was like Elaine Duff. That was it, and she was a great resource for me to talk to because her daughter, I think, was about 2 years older than mine. But I mean, for us, we try to just be very understanding of our employees who do have children, and we work with them with their schedules and just try to assist however we can. I've been having conversations with some other people in the industry here in the U.S. recently about, the sort of groups to help people, bartenders, servers, brand ambassadors, how they can, get assistance, and some of it, grants, evening daycare situations at events like Tales of the Cocktail or bar shows when you have to travel with your small child, to actually have something available for you, so that you can take advantage and still do the job that you need to do. And I think that, moving forward and hearing more talk about this is going to be very helpful for all of those who are coming up in our industry, because they should be able to have a family if they want to. I mean, so many people I know are just like, oh, how could you ever make it work? And it seems impossible for a lot of people. And there's even, in the U.S., and I'm not sure if it's the same, in Italy, but right now there's really a shortage of daycare because so many closed during the pandemic and then never reopened. So people are on these very long waiting lists to get into an affordable daycare, and so they get into one that's beyond their financial means, but they have to take it because they need the daycare to keep their job. And, it's the whole system is broken in the U.S. for sure.
So true. It applies to Europe as well. I see a lot of my friends, they are struggling with the daycare because the prices they are skyrocketing, and yeah, obviously it's really difficult. So you're always reaching a point where one of the two parents in the family, they need to stay home actually with the baby because they can't afford the daycare anymore. This is kind of a big struggle.
Yeah, where it's more expensive. The daycare costs more than they actually make sometimes, so it's not worth it.
Daniele, what's your take on this? What kind of resources you found in your journey, or what you apply to your employ?
I mean, first of all, I see that a lot of people, they change the job. They just say, okay, I cannot work anymore in the evening. I cannot do this hour because I have a child, or my wife need help. Also depend, usually, wife is taking most care of the kids, honestly. So, and depend of her. So she, okay, no, I can't be every night with the kid. You need to find another job, And then I see a lot of people that change jobs. Then, here, in the situation in Miami, in our case, she go to school and then she do aftercare. So we can keep her, Olivia, till 6 o'clock, which is great. It doesn't cost much, really, because the school is a manual school, so it's kind of a public, great school in the Gables, and is like maybe $150 for the daycare, probably. No, not much. It's not much. After 1 till 6, it's great. Plus they give her food. I mean, we are very lucky. We won this kind of lottery for the school, the work. So anyway, and then now she's home, and then this week she's at home, but next week she's gonna go to daycare, kind of summer camp. It's $500.
That's great. That's very affordable. New York City is not affordable. When Maya was little, we were paying $25,000 a year for daycare.
Oh, wow.
And that's yes. And then the year that she started kindergarten, they passed this law. They passed a universal pre-K. So the year before that we had paid the $25,000 for daycare would have been included, but we missed it by 1 year. I was like, I want my money back, government. Yeah. So, it was very expensive. And that is a big problem in big cities here in the U.S.
It's expensive. Mm-hmm. Plus you need to buy all the uniform and this and that. They're not cheap.
So what do you think we need to do for the industry? Because I see a lot of people between 25, 30 years old, and it takes a while to build a career. So when you're 25, 30, you're just reaching the best years of your career because you did all the journey to become a really great bartender. And most of the people that I know, they feel like they need to stop the career, especially the woman, because they start to think, okay, if I want a child, if I want a family, I can't carry on to work behind the bar. So which kind of measure do you think that needs to be implemented in the bar industry to allow people to have a family in a more comfortable way?
It's a good question.
Thank you.
We need more resources. I think for people in hospitality, evening daycare. You don't see that anywhere, but that's certainly would help. It's challenging. It's definitely not a career choice that is easy. Because children, their schedule is the polar opposite of what a bar opening schedule is. Kids, they go to bed right when your shift starts. But I think that having these conversations and working on resources to help people is definitely a good first step.
Well, I guess it's not up to us anyway, because you need to organize a space. You have to be a safe place. You have to be people they know how to stay with children. It's a late night. They need to put to sleep. It's complicated. I think nobody's gonna take the responsibility, and then it's to get evening childcare. It's in America here you have 2-3 weeks of maternity leave. So how you can handle? It's impossible. in some part of the world, I mean, I don't remember in Italy, probably it's 3-6 months, I don't remember. So at least you have time. You have time to organize yourself. Imagine that. I want to imagine if you're a woman, you work at the bar, you're gonna have a child. You work till like 2 weeks before if you feel good, and then even less, and then you give birth, and then 2 weeks later you have to go behind the bar again. It's impossible. I think. Of course they're gonna quit. Of course they're gonna. It's impossible. Yeah. No, it's not like. If I tell you something, you're gonna laugh because in Italy I think it's 6 months. In Russia it's 1.5 year maternity leave. Plus you have another 1.5 year if you want to do it, and then the company need to keep your job. So amazing, And then here is 3 weeks. What are you gonna do in 3 weeks? It's impossible. You're gonna go work somewhere else.
Yeah. Most companies, it's more than 3 weeks. I mean, that's, if you work for corporations, usually you get like 3 to 6 months, depending, and oftentimes you can add your vacation time, and, people who work for large organizations, but, restaurants, the profit margins are not high in restaurants. And so, we're not able to provide those sort of programs and still have a viable business, we sort of take it on a case-by-case basis, and we've certainly helped, people, within our organization. Usually it's more so with like various health issues. Somebody has to be out for a certain amount of time, we continue to pay them. We've had quite a few of those, but we really have to look at it on a case by case just to see what we can do to help. Because again, this is a very expensive business, particularly for us, in New York City. The rents are high, the cost of goods is high, payroll's high, and you, as much as I would love to say, take 6 months and we'll pay you, like we just, we're not able to offer that, which is why, I think organizations like the USBG and, some of these other foundations that people could potentially apply for grants, I think would be great. In the same way that they do for health problems, same sort of thing. Health insurance in America is a similar issue, within hospitality especially.
So I had a case, just had a case talking about, my GM, Gio. He was with me for 2 years, and then he had a child. His wife has a child, of course, and then he quit. It's because he need to help his wife at night, so he quit. Still with us still with us. He's taking care of all the party, he's like the event coordinator, we said this. But he work in the bank now. He work in the bank, and then he's doing some work for us. He wanna really stay with us, so we find a little position for him. He's gonna make some extra money. Also, he sell the party with his own, he's gonna make a little bit money there. But he didn't want to leave, but he had to, because he need to have the wife. And I say I can say anything. I mean, go, do it, and then the door are open. But yeah. Now that we're talking about this, just say, oh wow, it just happened to me.
This is so sad.
No, I mean, I'm happy for him. I talk to him every single day. I see me. Actually, at Thursday night, he come. I think also he need to come out from the house at night. He come, he play drums in our new place. Mm-hmm. So he organized the music, all the the calendar, and then he come to play. He got his own night out.
Nice.
It was not easy for him to leave and start a new life. But that's great.
I've actually had two different bartenders who used to work at one of them at Leanda and one of them at Clover Club, who left, stopped being a bartender and got jobs, both of them actually with Campari America, working with the brands. And it's a much more for them, it was a good transition. So oftentimes people choose to leave being behind the bar, and it ultimately was a great move for both of them, and they're both thriving within Campari, and both have been with Campari for many years at this point. They've found stability there, and the ability to remain in our industry, but still be parents who can be present with their children.
True. Also, probably the best choice is to move to as a brand ambassador, or some people do just consulting. And then, so you can schedule yourself. Brand ambassador, you have to go to some party, but you can do training during the day. Probably you're home like 4 nights, and probably is the best choice for, somebody that wants to start a family. And if you have one child, imagine like your bartender, one child is already a lot of work. Imagine to have 2.
Oh yeah, I know. I don't know how Pedro does it. He has 4.
Incredible.
Yeah. But oftentimes too, though, the brand ambassadors usually have to travel a lot. I feel like the travel is the big issue with moving into brand ambassadorship. So, you really have to look at the pros and cons of the company that you're working for and find out how much travel is going to be required before you take those jobs.
Yeah, but I guess in New York more than Miami, there are ambassadors just for the city. Mm-hmm. So they just, of course, they don't make all those money. They think, brand ambassador make, but they're fine. They do some brand ambassador, some consulting, and then I got a few guys. That's now I remember that they had to change life.
I think a lot of people, they actually decide to go to the corporate world for that reason, to have more stability and feel like safe when they want to start a family. I think it's still important for us to discuss it, to make sure that the people that want to stay behind the bar, they are actually able to stay behind the bar. Now, I want to move to a more let's say, positive note. And I want to invite you to reflect on how your journey has influenced your approach to bartending. Like, as a parent, what valuable lesson have you learned that you find applicable to work as a bartender? Is there any kind of transferring skills?
For me, I feel like being a parent has given me the ability to have more patience with my staff. I don't generally, at this point in my career, Roberta, I'm not working full bar shifts behind the bar, so I'll do 2 hours making 2 drinks or various event bartending, which for me is perfect, but I'm not working like the 12-hour shift anymore. I think that you learn how to deal with irrational behavior, which oftentimes you get from adults who've been consuming alcohol.
Good point.
And just overall just patience in general.
Daniele.
Yeah, I guess, I have to agree with you, actually, because it's, you learn a lot. You learn, first of all, when you're married, you need to learn how to count 1 to 10 before you say something. Then you have a child. As you know, it's already, talk about some bartender is just single and then going out and having party. And so you are married, so you have already, you learn a lot. So you need to take a big deep breath and count to 10, and then you can answer. So this help, and then the child help. And so really more, I'm like I said before, I let it go. I'm not going I still checking the table if they move. I still check below the glasses, everything is clean. Open the fridge, and then send cocktail and try like undercover. I still do. I like last night, like you, and I spent 1 hour behind the bar. I make 2 drinks myself. I went to the supermarket here, the Latin market. I found beautiful passion fruit. I smell it from, I was missing the kind of smell of fruit. Oh wow! Look, I bought $8 for 2.
Wow!
But I make 4 nice down special daiquiri. Of course, I for free. Yeah, no, I might have to agree with you because also sometimes I use when I see something that didn't right and it doesn't look right, I say my daughter can make better than this. Come on. I just think no, it's amazing. Yeah, I learned to be more calm. Yeah, definitely. But actually, working with my son, you will see if she's gonna work with you one day. This gonna piss you off because they always reply to you as a son or as a daughter, never as a boss. You remember? They say, remember, here I'm your boss. So if I say something, let me finish, and then you can talk. Don't talk over. So I did an experiment actually. I sent the GM talk to him, and then I was just say, why didn't you say a word? It's nice.
I don't see my daughter actually ever working in the bars.
They're good. It's good.
I don't think it's for her.
That's good.
But we'll see.
You never know. You never know. Maybe she starts being a bar one day and then she falls in love as all of us did. So you never know.
No, my son fall in love with the tiki in general. Fall in love with the. He start taking my Hawaiian shirt, the necklace. Fall in love with this, and then he wanna go behind the bar. He went behind the bar, but my bar manager basically fired him because it's too slow. So he's working he's managing the floor of the speakers, the Kaona. He's doing a great job. So behind the bar, no, didn't work.
Yeah, on the floor.
Yet.
Good. Last question. One piece of advice you will give to the new generation of hospitality workers scared of starting a family.
One piece of advice. I mean, there's never a right time. I feel like everybody has to figure out what their journey is and what, how it's going to work for them, whether it be moving to a new place or switching a job. But, don't wait too long to do that because, that's what we did. We were like, oh, we're not ready yet. But now we're, and we waited a very long time to do it.
So what's your piece of advice, Daniele?
Well, Julie, I totally agree with you. There is, this is not something, this is like, it's the right moment. It's never the right moment. And then a lot of people say, oh, like my bar manager, Alice, we had a big conversation about having a child. He say, no, never. And now he's having a child. So, and he's happy. Say, it's never the right moment. When it happens, you are so happy. You have like a new life. You feel a lot of energy. I would say first of all, if you love somebody, you have to go for it because this is important. And you need to fight for, make it work. And then I'll just say, if you have a chance, you love your partner, just do it, go for it, and then everything is going to be easy. Don't think this can be a problem. Actually, it's a solution. Actually, it's going to give you so much energy. Look, I had a child. I was not even 30 years old. I was like 29, and then I had one. I was 46. It was like whoa. And in both moments, I got so much energy. And then it's very important. It's a life-changing moment. Yes, it is. But it's great. It's great. And then very important that your partner has to be the right one. That's all.
This is very true.
What a message of love. Well, Julie, Daniele, I can't thank you enough for being here with us today, sharing your personal experience. I'm sure it's going to be of inspiration of a lot of people. And with this conversation, we just want to start the people to, let the opportunity to people to think about the problem, the challenge in the industry, but also see like that is possible if you really want to do something. And together we can create a better community, more inclusive.
Cheers.
So thank you so much for being with us today.
Cheers to that.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Roberta.
Thank you, Robbie. I'm
Thank
going to see
you.
both of you in terms of the cocktail, I guess.
Yes, you
Yeah.
will.
Yes,
Okay,
I'm gonna
let's
see you
go.
taste,
Let's
so we can grab
go.
a drink together.
Exactly. Let's celebrate this beautiful moment. Thank you.
We will. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Sono Roberta Mariani e questo è Balanced.